guys and girls, and welcome to another suggestions video. This one's called The Tomb of Nazkesh, an altercation with death. I'm just going to pop up the picture of the document along with a couple of other pictures, so if you want to read it, you can just pause the video. I'm just going to go through it verbally for those of you who want to do something else and put this on in the background, so you can no XP waste basically. So yeah, anyway, what the suggestion is an unsafe fight involving two unique bosses and minions in a multi-combat zone available to both pay-to-play and free-to-play. I've suggested these bosses as purposely difficult to kill for 4 reasons. 1, because I've suggested it's to be multi-combat. 2, it makes the achievement of killing him that much more rewarding and exciting. 3, it means that it's going to require more skill, tactics and strategies and teamwork in order to defeat them. And 4, it means that the drops will retain their value for much longer. So where it's going to be located, it's going to be located underneath the death level of the Stronghold of Security, and will hold a similar appearance to that. So you get down to the death level, you head through an ominous looking hole in the wall, so this is right near where the shades and zombies are, and this could require a bone key dropped by monsters on the death level of the Stronghold of Security, although not necessary, it's just a suggestion. Now once you're in there, once you've gone through the ominous hole, you can either form a team, much like raids, or you can enter Death's waiting room, which is a concept similar to the Castle Wars waiting room or the pest control boat. And as I've said, this will have a similar appearance to the death level or the first level of the Stronghold Security. Now once you've formed a team, or you've gone into the Death's waiting room, zombies, skeletons and other undead monsters of various combat styles will come in sporadic and random waves to whittle everyone down a bit, and you'll have to wait there for 5 to 15 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes or something like that, whilst fending off these waves. Once the wait is over, a very short cutscene will ensue, and this is where you'll see Nazkesh, who's death, arrive on a skeletal carriage accompanied by his underling, which is a name I can't actually pronounce, but you'll see it in the document. And they both will be, laughing maniacally and goading the players. And once this cutscene ends, anyone who's still alive after the waves of undead in the waiting room, they'll find themselves in a larger cavern-like area, and it'll be full of giant spiders, skeletons, other undead creatures. It'll have bones scattered across the floor and dilapidated headstones and broken crypts and things like that. And Death will be standing in the centre. What it will do is immediately summon some minions and cast a flame spell which will block your escape, and that's when the fight begins. So in terms of the name, Nazkesh is something I've made up, but I've also popped another one in as a suggestion, as an alternative, called Nergal. I found this on Wikipedia, and it comes from the Babylonian mythology of death and stands for the second lord of the underworld, so I thought it sounds pretty interesting anyway. In terms of appearance, I'll pop up a quick picture of the Wikipedia thing for the underling. It's essentially just like a ceramic sculpture, and it looks kind of like a creepy monkey thing. And then the main boss will look like Santa Muerta, which is what most people think of when they think of death, which is the guy in black robes with glowing eyes and a scythe. Right, in terms of combat information and mechanics, so the underling, level 333. You'll fight this guy first, whilst Death sits back and goads players and occasionally summons undead to help his right hand man, monkey. In terms of mechanics, so this guy will switch between all combat styles. We'll always have 2 protection prayers activated at once, which will periodically or randomly switch around. He'll be immune to poison, summons minions of varying attack styles, absorbs health from minions and or players, occasionally insta-kills his own minion for a boost of HP. It can cast Disease, which is a small area effect that drains combat stats, and there could be a small pool that can replenish stats but can only be used in limited amounts, so you have to develop strategies for how you're going to do that. And finally the Flame Spell, which can be cast occasionally, which will block your escape for 30 to 60 seconds. In terms of drops, so 100% of the time we'll drop what's called unholy or tainted bones, between 1 and 5 of those, and this is I'm suggesting to be the best prayer XP in free to play, which is slightly better than org bones. I'm not sure you pronounce that. And the reason for such a high XP value for them is because you won't be able to get many at a time. so they'll be quite rare and quite expensive, I imagine. In terms of unique items, there's Death's Ring, which is a ring that grants you a small chance of draining an NPC's soul on attack, which could regenerate some of your health or add a few temporary levels to a random combat stat. It also could have a chance of corrupting an NPC, draining some of its stats and or health periodically, which could work like poison, but with maybe like a black splodge or something like that. The Scroll of Dead, sorry. And you can read this to grant you a small and permanent boost in defense against the undead. And the rest of the drops are things like Chaos, Death, Blood Runes, and weapons and armor and things like that. I'll let you have a read through of them. Right, now onto the main boss, Nazkesh or Nergal or whatever it's going to be called. Be combat level 666 for obvious reasons. And mechanics wise, so in addition to the underlings mechanics, everything I've just listed, he can self-immolate, so he sets himself on fire using magic, and this will last a certain amount of time and will cause small but rapid damage to anyone within melee range. And this can be put out with a certain amount of successful water-based magic attacks, or if you decide to bring in lots of buckets of water or vials of water or something like that, you can put them out with them, although I'm not entirely sure why you would do that. It's just a little quirk. The Crippled Spell, so this is something I suggested in the previous suggestion actually. I think it was the Wilderness Taskmaster suggestion, if I remember rightly. And it's basically a spell that stops you from running for a short amount of time and also drains energy. Twisted Firestarter, which is where he summons flames from the ground, which will last a little while and cause small but frequent damage if you stand on or near them. No Defense, which is a spell that completely drains one or a percentage of the remaining player's defense for a certain amount of time, like say 5 to 15 seconds for example, and then that will revert to what it was. This spell could come out like a wave and would be able to be dodged if so. And this could also be applied to different combat stats, so not just defense, it could be attack, strength, range, magic, etc. He can also spoil food, much like the gas in Mauritania, and the amount of spoiled food could be based on the amount of food that you have left. He could also spoil potions, which will reverse their effect. So for example, if you had an anti-poison, you could change it into a poison potion. And also if you drop or empty a spoiled potion, then it could explode, causing some damage. He could randomly unequip items if you have space in your inventory, so 1 to 6 items say. Possession, which is a mechanic where he could possess a player for a few seconds and command you to attack your teammates for a couple of hits before you regain command of your character. And finally, Into the Void, which is where you cast a spell on the floor which looks kind of like a black gloop or oil spill or something, and any player within a few tiles of it after a certain amount of seconds will be sucked into that, and it will be like a small labyrinth filled with the undead that you'll have to escape from without the help of a mini-map in order to get back into the fight. In terms of drops, he'll also drop the Unholy or Tainted Bones, but slightly more than the Underling. And in terms of unique drops, as well as the drops from the Underling, he'll also have the Skull of Nazkesh or Nergal, or whatever it's going to be called. And this is something you can attach to the Stronghold of Security scepter to make it never degrade. And once you've done this, you won't receive any more scepter piece drops from the monsters in the Stronghold of Security. And also the Scythe, so this could be something that's used in farming to resurrect dead crops or herbs. Apologies about the alarm. Shut up. So yeah, where was I? Yeah, it could resurrect dead crops or herbs, and it could also give a small percentage high yield for crops. However, it could weigh quite a lot of weight. I was about to say, bad English there. And on top of all those things, things like Chaos Runes, Death Runes, etc. I'll let you read through those at your leisure. In terms of the minions, so both bosses will be able to summon any kind of undead type minions, and these minions will have a small chance of dropping weapons, armor, projectiles, food and potions, and this chance could be based on the amount of food and potions you've got left, with a higher chance of drop if you don't have that much remaining. In terms of miscellaneous things, so I'm suggesting that your magic and prayer aren't as effective, so teleports are disabled, so you can't just teleport out at will, to make it a bit more difficult, and protection prayers don't protect from 100% of damage, again to make it more difficult. The damage could be scaled to your level somewhat, so it makes it possible for lower levels to kill the boss, although it should of course be very difficult to do this. and the amount of people allowed in the waiting room could be capped, again a bit like pest control, which would make it easier for coding the difficulty level of the bosses. And finally, Death won't actually die, so upon defeating him, he'll say something along the lines of, well done, adventurer, you've proved your worth, and I shall spare your soul. I've just popped a quick example of what he could say, but it wouldn't really make sense to be able to kill Death, so that's why I popped that in anyway. And that is pretty much the suggestion in a nutshell. So thank you all for listening as always, and please let me know what you think of the suggestions, and I shall see you in the next video.